You know how they always say that girls go to Miami and they leave not friends? I'm gonna tell you why. I think that a lot of girls are getting to Miami with the idea that the pretty privilege they get in their city also works in Miami. Now, you may be pretty in your city, but you may not be Miami pretty. And with Miami also being very colorist, I think that a lot of girls get there with little to no money, thinking that they could rely on their looks, and then they get the shock of their lives. So, I'm going to tell you my Miami story and how this trip ended an 8-year friendship. So back in 2014, me and my friend decided to go to Miami for Memorial Day. Now I moved to Canada 2013, and she had called me around December 2013 saying that her car had gotten towed. She lives in New York. She had parked it on the street, and when it snows in New York, if you don't move your car, when the plow comes to move the snow, they'll tow your car. Now she had like $2,000 in outstanding parking tickets on the car. So when they towed it, they kept it. And they told her she couldn't get it until she paid it off. So she called me crying, crying, crying. By this time, I haven't even gotten my first paycheck yet. Like I moved November 30th. It's like December 15th. So I gave her what was in my savings, which was $700. Now the new year comes and she's telling me she's gonna pay me back, pay me back. But as we get closer to Miami, Memorial Day, May, I told her straight up, like, listen, I can't go unless you pay me back. Like that $700 is like my travel spending, all that kind of money. It's not something I could just throw away. And at the time, the Canadian dollar to the US dollar, that $700 was like 1,000 Canadian. So she's like, all right, girl, I'm gonna pay you back when we get to Miami. So I paid for everything, thinking that when I get to Miami, she's gonna give me my $700 back. Because she is irresponsible, she missed her flight. The hotel is on her credit card. So when I arrived before her, I couldn't check in. So they had to move the room to my card so that I could check in first. She arrives, gives me $500, and yeah, we start the weekend. We go to Forever 21 that was up on Lincoln, and she's blowing a bag. I'm looking at her because you still owe me $200. So I'm like, yeah, when am I going to get the rest of my money, please? She gives it to me like I'm begging her for my money back. I start to notice throughout the weekend that she's not eating anything, like nothing. Like she'll be like, oh, I'm not hungry, and then try to eat my fries. I'm like, listen, I only brought enough money for me to eat. So yeah, no. We're on Ocean and I'm eating. She's trying to eat off me. And I tell her straight up, like, listen, if you're hungry, buy something. But come to find out, I don't think she has any money. Stay tuned for part two.
Imagine planning the ultimate girls trip to Miami with your bestie, expecting, of course, a sunshine, laugh, and of course, just a good old time, only for everything to go completely off the rails. Question though, are all friendships really ending in Miami? What's up, beautiful people? You don't know, it's your favorite island girl, Jody here from the 876. As per usual, guys, from you see the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know that we're diving into some of those girls trips that just did not make it through the weekend. And we're talking about Miami to be exact. Before we find out what's really in the water down to the Miami, please remember, guys, to just like this video for your girl. It's an easy and a free way to, of course, support my channel. And if you're new, I would really hope you consider subscribing to become a part of the Islanders family, and you can indicate that you're a new subscriber by dropping some palm trees, whether right or so, down in the comment section so we can officially welcome you to the Islanders family. All the housekeeping matters out of the way, guys. Let's dive into today's story time where the creator Caroline shared her story, and let's find out what really went down.
I could tell her money was a little funny because earlier that morning when we was getting ready in the hotel room, we stayed at Cleveland. Her neighbor had called her from New York and was like, yo, the sheriff is at your door putting an eviction notice up. So I don't want to eavesdrop. So I come out the bathroom and I'm just like, hey, hon, is everything okay? Now, we're both Leos, so there's a bit of ego there. She's like, everything is fine. Everything is good. She got an attitude. So I was like, I'm not going to press the issue. So we're on Ocean with, I'm eating, and she's trying to pick off my plate, and she sees a group of guys walk by. And she hails them, and the boy is like, oh, come with us. Our hotel has a beach behind it. They're staying at SLS. So we walk down to SLS, and at the beach, they brought like a cooler of drinks. Mind you, she's on an empty stomach. She is downing these drinks, like, with nothing in her stomach for the last damn near 2 days. She's throwing it back. I knew she was drunk when she told me she had to go to the bathroom, and she walks into the ocean only up to her knees, everything exposed, and starts peeing. I had to run up to her in the ocean with a towel to like stand in front of her and cover her. So she's falling down drunk, and one of the guys is like, "Oh, are you hungry? You want anything?" She's like, "Yeah, we're staying at Cleveland." He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna put some money on your room so that you can get whatever you like." We get in the car. She's falling down drunk. Like, we're holding her up. She cannot stand. Pull up to Cleveland, and I'm trying to help her out of the car. And the guy is like, "Yo, we're going to a white party if you want to come, but it's in Fort Lauderdale." Now, she had valeted her car. So she was like, "Oh, yeah, we'll meet you there." We're all looking at her like, "You're in no position to drive." I'm like, "Well, can one of you guys stay?" I can't drive. So I'm like, "Can one of you guys stay and drive us?" "Don't let them take my car." She's yelling at me in the street at the corner of Cleveland. And I'm like, "You know what? She's drunk. I'm not going to argue with her. I'm just going to let her sober up." So the boy helps me walk her to the lobby of Cleveland. Now, in the lobby of Cleveland, there is a restaurant. If you know, in Miami, Cleveland has like all of those seats outside at the corner of the ocean. I go to the front desk and I'm like, "Hey, can I order a pitcher of water and some chicken wings and fries to the room? She's gonna need it." She leaves me in the lobby and goes upstairs. I come upstairs. She's sitting on the bed naked with her wig off, right? 10 minutes later, there's a knock on the door. It's the water and the wings. She's like, "Whose food is this?" She starts going off. I'm looking at her like, "This is for you." "So you want to use my money to eat? You know that nigga gave me the money to put on the room, and now you want to use it?" Mind you, this meal is $14. And I'm looking at her like, she's screaming with the door open, naked, with no wig on. And the waiter's just standing there like, stay tuned for part 3. So I dive past her to get the door closed so that, I mean, she not out here flashing the whole floor. And I take the water from him, I take the wings from him, and I set it down on her bed. And she's still yelling, like still ranting and raving about how I wouldn't let her eat my food, and now I think I'm gonna eat the food of this man that got it for her. Mind you, the boy only put $50 on the room. Like, so she's so loud that the neighbor knocks on the door. I start to laugh. Like, this whole thing has been ridiculous to me. She's like, "Oh, you want to laugh? All right, good. Watch what I do." She goes into the bathroom, puts on a bathrobe, slaps a wig on her head with no shoes on, walks out. I start to change. Like, clearly we're not going to this white party. Like, she's not going to sober up. She's acting crazy. Less than 5 minutes later, I hear banging on the door, and it's 2 security guards. I think that she must have fell in the lobby. Like, that's the kind of friend I am. That even after all of this madness, I'm concerned about her well-being. I'm like, the second I open the door and see the security, I'm like, is she okay? I'm thinking either she fell in the lobby or she tried to get her car. And remember, she's drunk, so valet is not going to give her the car. He's like, "You got to come down to the front." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "The girl is down there saying that this is her room and she wants you out on the street." What? She went down to them and told them I don't belong in the room and that they should kick me out of the room. Now, let me tell you how my God works. Remember, she arrived late to Miami. So technically, the room is on my name. The person who ended up checking me in, because I arrived at like 7 p.m. at night and the front desk was closed. The person who checked me in ended up being the hotel manager. So when I come down, he's like, "Oh, Missy Caroline." Like, he's French Canadian, and we had like a full conversation when I was checking in about Canada. And so when he sees me, he's like, "No, no, no. This is Caroline's room." Pulls up the record, and lo and behold, the room is on my card. So she starts shrieking, like shrieking, shrieking. Like, he's like, "Okay, you can't go back up. Like, until you get yourself together, you can't go back up." He's like, "Missy Caroline, do you want her to come back in or no?" And I'm like, when she calms down, she can come back up. But in this state, she can't. She needs to calm down. I will bring down some clothes for her, but she can't come in the room acting crazy. Seeing that people are on my side, she starts calling everyone everything but a child of God. She cussed out the hotel manager, security, to the point where he's like, "Yeah, you got to leave, or we're going to call Miami PD." So they walk her back up to the room. They give her opportunity to pack her stuff. And my flight is at 6 a.m. So, yeah, she gets the guy that put the money on the room to come and pick her up. I fly back to Canada. And, yeah, that was the end of an 8-year long friendship.
Honestly, this is a tough one because when a fun weekend turn just into a mess of something like this, I mean, going on these girlfriend trips, especially to another state or even worse, in another country, it should definitely bring you closer. Sometimes this is where people true colors come out unexpectedly. The fact that her friend started drinking and started acting belligerent, especially in a group setting, it can definitely bring the whole vibe, the whole mood down, and it even reveal tensions that were already brewing. I would imagine over the outstanding $200. See what money can do? Really sad to see that a friendship for so long fell apart over just one weekend. And you know, sometimes it's in situations like these, you can definitely see who's in it for the long haul, and then maybe some friendships are just better with distance. The next clip, Caroline will be addressing some of the questions that her followers ask, and that will give us more of context and a more backstory behind your whole friendship and all of that, how it went down. And I'm sure, just like myself, you two are also curious. Let's get into it.
So this blew up a lot more than I expected. So I want to clear up some misconceptions. Number one, when people are like, oh, your best friend, y'all use that term very loosely. Though I've known her for 8 years. We met freshman year of college. After college, I stayed in Philly. She went to med school in the Caribbean. So by the time she finished there after 3 years, she moved to New York to do residency. And that was around the same time I was moving to Canada. So when she called me for the money, I had only been in Canada 2 weeks. I used all of my savings not only to pay first and last for an apartment, but to clear the stuff I moved from Philly through customs. Like, I'm in a new country without a paycheck. So when she asked for the money, she asked for the full 2,000, and I basically told her I don't have it. And how she responded to that was so ungrateful that while we were in the bank, the teller was like, yo, I wouldn't send it to her. But I still did. Now, I told her straight up, like, I am in a country that's very expensive. Like, what I thought I would be making versus the actual taxes they take out of my check was vastly different. Especially, they put 15% tax on everything here in Canada. So money was running out very quickly. So I let her know when I was sending her the money that I needed by February because I needed to pay my February rent. As the end of January is nearing, she don't got the money. So she's like, oh, girl, I got you in March. She keeps extending it. So by April, she's like, oh, my God, I'm so excited for Memorial Day. I'm like, what's going on Memorial Day? She's like, oh, girl, we going to Miami. Who going to Miami? I don't have money. I'm trying to explain it to you. She was like, girl, I'm going to send you your little money. It's now little. I'm like, okay, send it right away because I really need it. She's like, oh, my God, they charge $50 for a wire transfer. I know, because that's what I paid to send you the money initially. She's like, it would just be so much easier if I give it to you cash in person. So that's why I went, because I needed the money. And it was kind of a way to like rekindle our friendship because we hadn't seen each other in almost 4 years. When I get to Miami and she hands me $500, I go straight to the bank because I kept my American bank account open, but my cell phone bill is coming out of it. I have a P.O. box that's coming out of it. Like, they're on auto pay and they made the account overdraft. So I immediately go to clear the overdraft. So yeah, I needed money. I needed all of my money. By the time I cleared the overdraft, I had like $300. I brought a prepaid credit card with me because I don't have credit in Canada. So they haven't given me a credit card yet. And this prepaid credit card has 500 Canadian on it. Get to the hotel and I have to check in, so they clear that entire amount. Like, I can't even use the card. Canadian debit cards at the time didn't work in the US, so all I had was cash. Imagine, now I have about $200 for 4 days in Miami, and she wants to eat everything I'm eating. I can't afford it. So now I realize of the $500 she's given me, I need everything. Like, I paid all of my bills. I can't use my Canadian debit card. So she's like, girl, let's go down to Lincoln Drive. We get down there, we're in Forever 21. And she's picking things up. I'm walking through the aisles like friggin' Orphan Annie because I can't afford nothing. Like, I'm counting coins at this point. So when she gets to the register, she pulls out money. I'm like, all right, well, this is the perfect time to tell her I need the remainder of the balance. So I'm like, girl, I need the other 200. She's like, okay, here, slams 200s in my hand. Cool, I'm fine. I should be good with what's left of the initial 500 and this 200 for the weekend. Wrong. Every single time we got to go somewhere. I'm paying for the taxi. She'd be like, oh, girl, I'm going to go to the ATM. I got you. I got you. I want to say on the first night, we got invited to some like boat party. This thing is up by friggin' King of Diamonds. It's $35 one way from South Beach and 35 back. I paid $70. So now every time I'm eating, remember, you had the money in Forever 21. Like, I need you to come with that same energy and bring your dollars out, because I'm paying $22 for calamari at Clevelander. I'm paying $18 for a waffle at Big Pink. Now I need you to bring your money because I don't have any left. And again, with the pretty privilege, like at this time, we're paying $20 to get in a Cameo, $25 to get in all these different clubs, and still having to pay for a taxi. So by the third day, I'm like, yo, you gotta come with some money. Like, I can't be feeding you and feeding me on what, $250 for 4 days in South Beach. Like, let's be serious. So I've been letting her eat, but I mean, what am I gonna eat? And people are like, oh, get fast food. At this time in 2014, the only fast food on South Beach is Five Guys, which is not cheap. And it was a Whopper bar. So it wasn't even a full Burger King. It was just Whoppers after hours. So there's no, like, let me tell you, South Beach is expensive. We're in Wet Willie's. A drink is $28. Like, in a day, you could blow through that $250, and I got to keep it. Not only that, but I need to keep cash on hand to get to the airport. Like, my Canadian debit card is not working, and the hotel put on my prepaid credit card is not going to fall off until 3 to 5 business days after checkout. Like, I literally am surviving on the cash I have. So I get what you're saying. I'm glad all of y'all is Mother Teresa, but I mean, I literally didn't have it. I'm 5 months into a new country. Like, should I do what she did and spend all my rent money because I'm in Miami? Like, let's be serious. So this is my last response on the subject. She texts me, I want to say about 5 days later. I'm in Canada, I'm working. And let me tell you the craziest part. My dad, before I left for Miami, my dad was like, I'm having a bad feeling about it. But you know, African parents always be saying they're having a dream, so I ignored it. He was right. He was right. So I get back and people ask me about the chicken wings. I couldn't even eat them. Like, I was shaking, packing my bag for the airport for 6 a.m. because I was crying. Like, you wanted me on the street. Like, I don't even think you can explain. Like, I was hyperventilating. I was crying and gasping for air. Like, I was shaking. Like, what did you want me to do? Like, I now live in Canada. I'm flying out of Fort Lauderdale. That's why I needed extra money. I'm flying out of Fort Lauderdale. And I'm like, did you want me to sleep in the airport? Like so much things was going through my head. So she sends me a text like, Caroline, where did we go wrong? What happened? So I responded back, what do you mean what happened? You wanted me to sleep on the street. You tried to get me kicked out in another country in Miami. Like, she was like, girl, I was just so messed up, but we have to talk about what happened. I was like, until you apologize, like until you talk about your role and trying to get me kicked out, trying to have me embarrassed, trying to put me on the street in Miami, there's nothing to talk about. She was like, oh, well, I thought you was trying to use the $14. So I responded back, your friendship is worth $14? And that was the last message. We never spoke again. She proceeded to create fake pages with her like preschool bestie, harassing me. Like, anytime somebody would like my picture on Instagram, she would respond to them like, oh, she's ugly, blah, blah, blah. I would allow it, right? She like messaged my sister on Twitter, was like, oh, your sister is ugly, blah, blah. Allowing it. I'm allowing it. I'm leaving it. So this goes on for almost 2 years, like 2014 to 2017. I'm in Atlanta for Labor Day weekend. I walk into Zara in Lenox. Guess who walks out of this dressing room? Her. So I see her and I'm like, yo, what's up? She runs. She drops all of her stuff and runs. So I call my friend and I'm like, yo, you'll never guess what I just saw in the mall. She's like, so what are you going to do? I was like, well, if God puts it on me to see her again, if I buck up with her again, I'm definitely going to say something. I'm in Forever 21 getting workout sets. Somebody asked me where my tights are from. That's where they're from. And guess who comes out the dressing room? Her again. So I step in her way and I'm like, yo, the fake pages got to stop. She's like, oh, it was my friend. I didn't do anything. I said, listen, we don't have beef, but if it continues, we will literally have beef. It never happened again. We never talked again. And that's it.
My granny always tell me, if you don't have it to give, then you don't have it to lend. Meaning that you don't have the money to give away, you don't have it to lend. Lending money or any form of resources that you can't afford to lose oftentimes lead to stress, miscommunication, and of course resentment, as we're seeing. Because at the end of the day, if giving it freely isn't an option, then lending it might definitely put a strain on you and even the relationship, as we have been seeing or hearing in her story. It's definitely all about setting boundaries and know when to say no for your own peace of mind. Instead, she still pushed and assisted the girl. So the girl finally paid back the $200 that was owed, but did it with so much attitude and aggression. Like, what is that about? I don't get it. In my opinion, paying back someone should clear the air and definitely not to make things so tense. It is so wild when someone borrows money and then act like they're doing you a favor by paying you back. It's just crazy. Honestly, if it's going to come with all of that drama, it makes you wonder if lending money to friends is even worth it. And it's just so sad. After the fallout, instead of just letting things go, this girl actually went as far as to create fake pages to harass Caroline. Sick. This is seriously crossing the line, and it's just one thing for a friendship to end over money concerns and all of that. But when you turn this into a full-blown cyberbullying harassment, it's a whole different story. The fact that Caroline even ran into her and calling her out on it, honestly, props to her for confronting her in that situation directly, because I would have done the same. Sometimes people think that they can hide behind the screen, but sooner than later, all the truth come out and you must come out. A friendship should end for whatever circumstances. Just let go gracefully and just move on, because clearly for her, not everyone gets the memo. To wrap up this story time, Caroline expounded on the whole subject of pretty privilege. I mean, in my opinion, humblest one, I might add, pretty privilege does exist. And let's be real, certain places partially run just on looks. And based on what I've heard, Miami is definitely for real one of them. And let me know if you agree with this statement down in the comment section.
Hey guys, I'm dressed for work and I just wanted to address this comment really quickly before I run to my meeting. The reason why I started my now viral video about the beauty standards in Miami is because my friend thought that because she is a 10 in New York, she would be a 10 in Miami. Does that mean she's not a 10? No, she's still a 10. It's just the beauty standards in each city is different. So New York caters to a dark skin, big booty crowd at the clubs that she goes to. You go to Houston, the beauty standard is Beyonce because that's where she's from. You go to Miami and they're like a more Cuban, white, skinny standard. Now, does that mean that those people are more beautiful than the next? No. All it means is that the clubs are catering to their clientele. They know the men that buy the table. They know the men that buy the boots. They know the men that buy the bottles, like a certain look in a certain city. So that's all they're doing. So for her to come to Miami with no money, thinking that the looks that get her by, she could leave New York with just her cell phone and be good all night, is not the same in Miami. Now, does that mean you should stop going to Miami? No. I was in Miami 2 weeks ago. I'm a 5'3", 38-year-old, dark-skinned Nigerian American. Does that mean something's wrong with me? No. I may not attract their clientele, but that's not what I'm there for. So don't X yourself out of having fun because you don't meet the standard of that city. Bring your money and go enjoy yourself. I go to Miami to have brunch at Nikki Beach on Sundays. I go to Miami to have Cuban food at Puerto Sagua. I go to Miami to hit up Bar Harbor because there's certain things I can't get in Canada. But to say that I'm not going to go because they cater to white women or Cuban women, there's no alternate reality where I could look like that. So I want you to understand that society is making you feel insecure because it breeds consumerism. The more you feel like something is wrong with you, the more you buy to fix it. Of course, you're going to keep seeing videos of how to fix your laugh lines. Imagine me clicking somebody Amazon storefront to fix laugh lines. Like, why would I at 38 want to make it seem like I've never laughed in my life? Like, the only way they can oppress you or make you feel insecure is if you buy into it. And this faceless society that is setting this beauty standard doesn't even look like the standard they're setting, because they make them more and more unrealistic, because it's more and more, it's less and less attainable, so that you can buy more and more. It literally drives the economy. So I want to leave you with this. I'm created in the image of God, so there's nothing wrong with me because God is perfect. So don't let society make you think something's wrong with you, because there's nothing wrong with you. You can only look like yourself, and you look perfectly fine. Okay, have a blessed day, guys. Good morning. Before I get dressed for work, this is my home gym. I wanted to clear that up because people were saying I'm wearing a dress in the gym. This is my house, and this is my pajamas. The Skims dress is what I wear to sleep. Shout out to my sister for getting it for me for Christmas. I bought like 6 in black. So, yeah, I thought I would clear that up. But I wanted to do a little wrap up. People keep saying I shouldn't be explaining myself. And if this had my normal amount of views, like 4,000, 5,000, I wouldn't. I woke up to 1,700 comments. And I feel like people are stuck on the Miami comment from my video and not watching the rest, and then putting their own little salt in my soup instead of getting the information from my video. Like, the amount of comments I'm receiving where people are telling me I said something I didn't. I'm watching my videos back like NFL game tape, trying to see where they got that information. Like, a girl told me yesterday, "Oh, well, you said Miami girls look better." And I'm like, I feel like Portia. Who said that? Like, where did y'all get that from? Please stop putting y'all spin on what I said and just take it at face value. Just because the club standard is different in Miami does not mean that the women are better. Like, I literally said that Miami has colorist views at some of their clubs. How can me, a dark skinned person, then turn around and say that Miami girls are better? I'm dark. So please take what I'm saying at face value. Also, I don't know if it's my accent. I don't know if it is a lack of comprehension. Shit, I don't know if it's George Bush's No Child Left Behind. But a lot of y'all are having problems. I said in my first video, she missed her flight. People are coming to me asking how she got her car from New York to Miami. She brought it on the plane. Why would she bring her own car from New York to Miami? It's a 20-hour drive in between. Wouldn't she just get a rental? Like, I want some of y'all to use the God-given common sense that you have to get to conclusions that are blatantly clear. Lastly, some of y'all are exhibiting a lot of behaviors that let me know that you would be her in this story time. She's owed me $700 for months. And when I told her I needed it in February, she did not care that it was an inconvenience for me. Now, though I had not seen her, people are saying, "Oh, I can't believe you lent it to her and you haven't talked to her." Who in the comments said that they would pay me to read a thesaurus? Can you also pay me to read a dictionary? Because seeing and talking is not the same thing. And though we hadn't seen each other, like, y'all have never had friends that didn't live in your city. I mean, just because we're friends, she's not gonna move to Canada. She just does not live near me. But WhatsApp and cell phones, the thing that I'm on right now, they all exist. We were in communicate the entire time. I talked to her the entire time she was in med school. And also, I want you to understand, med school doesn't make doctors, just like law school doesn't make lawyers. A lawyer has to pass a bar exam to be a lawyer, to practice law. So just because she went to med school does not mean she is a practicing doctor. So again, if she was a doctor, I would have said my doctor friend to let y'all know who she is. She's not a doctor. I didn't find out until after this falling out that she failed out of med school, because one of our friends that went to Temple, Temple University, also went to that med school in the Caribbean. And she told me after this falling out that this girl dropped out. So a lot of the information, I mean, the videos can only be so long. So, but I wanna talk more about why your friend feels that they could spend your money in your face and you guys still feed them. You guys are enabling them. Now, who am I to stand in the way of a God-given lesson she got to learn. I don't know if you've seen through my videos. I'm very calculated and I'm very logical because I have a degree in accounting and finance. So when it comes to financial obligations, I do not play. I spent all of my money moving to Canada, and the last I had in my savings, of course, she called me in distraught. Even though I'm calculated, even though I'm logical, I'm a Leo. I have a soft heart and a hard head. But if you play in my face, all of that stops. So when she called me crying for the money, I sent it to her because she promised, she swore on her life, she was going to get it back to me in a month. Now, when she didn't, my friendship cape, I had to pull the string a little bit. When we got to Miami and she didn't put all the money in my hand, I started to shrug the friendship cape off. But the first thing I did when she gave me the money was I went straight to the bank to handle my financial obligations because I am an adult. And the last thing I want is to be on vacation with any of my bills outstanding. But when I went to the bank, paid all of my bills, I realized I needed the rest. I was gonna allow the 500 and just know that after this trip, she never gonna have access to my money again. You live and you learn. This is 2014, and that's another thing I feel like I have to keep repeating because people are like, well, why didn't you take a Uber? Uber did not exist then. So I feel like a lot of the people commenting were in diapers when this happened because a lot of the things you're saying sound nice because they're available now in 2023, but this was 9 years ago. So I need y'all to understand that when you're saying, well, why didn't you do this? Those things did not exist. She had to get a rental after a few days because I couldn't keep paying for taxis. Another thing is people are in the comments like, oh my God, she owes you $200. And I'm watching part of my video that stated that when she went shopping and I saw her paying for stuff, I went and asked for the balance. So she didn't owe me a thing. The hotel we prepaid. I paid 50% online. She paid the other 50%. So when I got to the hotel to check in, her card is the last card on the account. They said for me to check in, I need to present that card because every hotel that you check into in Miami, you have to put incidentals on your card. So about $50 a day. That's what it was in 2014. Right now it's 150. But in 2014, it's $50 per day. They put a hold on your card to make sure that if you take any food out of the fridge in the room or if you break anything, they can charge you for it. That hold doesn't come off until after you check out. So there's a lot of things that were said and already explained that y'all are commenting on that is confusing me. But to get back to the friendship cape, when I saw her shopping, I shrugged it off. The gravy train was done. Like, people are like, oh, I hope you learned your lesson. No, I'm never going to let an incident harden my heart. I'm still a good person. I still have a clean heart. My friend is in distress. I'm going to help. If that person is trying to scam me, if that person is lying, God will deal with them. And just like he did with her. Have any of you thought why, when she tried to get me kicked out of the club, out of the hotel, all of the stars aligned to the point where she couldn't, God will intercede on your behalf. He sent the hotel manager to intercede for me. He had her miss her flight to intercede for me because he knew that in her heart, she had bad intentions. So does she have to starve for 2 days because she wanted to use her money to shop? It's a lesson she's going to have to learn. I read a quote a few years ago and it was like, procrastination is the arrogant idea that God is always going to swoop in and save you when you know what you have to do. This is that. She's being financially irresponsible. Does she have to go to bed hungry to learn a lesson? I mean, who am I to stand in the way of the greatest teacher of all? It's a lesson she got to learn. Lastly, the day that I saw her in Zara is the same day I saw her in Forever 21. And that's my fault. I didn't explain that. We was in the same mall. So when she came out of the dressing room, saw me and dipped, I'm walking through the mall doing my shopping regular. I'm on the phone with my friend and I wanted some macaroons. They're on the first floor in Lenox Mall, if you've ever seen it. Shout out to Whoops. Across from there is Forever 21. So I was like, you know what, let me go in there and get some clothes. Now, when I'm looking at workout sets, she walks out of the dressing room and sees me. At first, she's smug about it. She's been harassing me for a year. I went on a date with a guy in 2016 and she's DM'd him. I went on a date with a guy in 2017. She on his picture writing all this shit about me. But A Leo loves gift giving, but they also love receipts. So for y'all saying that she should come tell her side of the story, I have every single text message between me and her since 2007. And that's what I told her when I saw her. I said, the last thing you want is me as an enemy, because the things I could put out about you, I suggest you stop. And that's what made her stop. Okay? Have a blessed day, and don't be an enabler. You see your friend making bad decisions, let them learn a lesson sometimes. All right, I gotta get to work.
Oh, child, that was definitely a roller coaster. I'm so happy she cleared up everything. Trips like these, as I stated before, is supposed to bring you closer, but sometimes they reveal things that we definitely don't see coming. End of the day, friendships can be tested, but it's up to everyone involved to decide what is really worth holding on to. What do you guys think about this entire situation? Let me know your thoughts, of course, down in the comment section. And of course, we are definitely not here to judge. All of that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching until the end of another video. Please remember to subscribe and like if you haven't already. Hit that post notification so you'd be notified every time I upload a relatable video. And if you want to continue to enjoy more story times like these, you can go ahead and click the up next video right here on your screen, and you can just enjoy the day away. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. My name is Jody, and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys, what good.